Indiana Disability History Project, Indiana Institute on Disability and Community, Indiana University.
Searching for school opportunities. Sandy Braunbeck.
Well, they stayed at home, okay? The individuals stayed at home. My dad had more stories. I have a few stories like that, but he had more. You know, the origin of Rauch is that there was a family here in town. The mother's name was Leona Receveurs. She only died maybe 3 years ago at like 105 years old when she passed away. And she had a daughter who I believe had Down syndrome. And there was a school for autistic children in Louisville, and she wanted some sort of schooling for her daughter. And she tried to get her in that school in Louisville, and they wouldn't accept her. But they told Mrs. Receveurs, they said, you need to go back to Indiana and start your own school. This was before public law required that children with disabilities get an education. So I think Mrs. Receiver first talked to the public health nurses, who literally were the ones that went around in the city and in the community to individuals that needed some sort of medical help. And they were aware of the people in the community, the children and young adults that had disabilities. And so she asked them to tell these families if they were interested to get together for a meeting. She set a meeting date. And at that time, that's when Crusade for Children was just starting. And so she put in a letter to Crusade for Children asking for $1,000 for a bus. She wanted a bus to go around and pick up the students and bring them into, she had managed Advent Christian Church, which is about 2 or 3 miles from here, had a basement. And they were going to allow her to have classes in this basement for the students. And so she went to the Crusade for Children, and evidently Rabbi Rauch, who was a very, from Louisville, a very prominent rabbi, was on the board that decided who was going to get the money. And he said to her, why do you think if we give you this money for a bus that people are going to let you take their handicapped children? And she said to him sometime, Rabbi Rauch, you just have to have faith. Okay? Well, with that, he gave her the $1,000, and she named the school after him. It was named Joseph Rauch Memorial School. It was called that for many years. One of my first years here at Rauch, I had to go and talk to some sewing group or something. And it was a bunch of little old ladies, and they were in the basement of this church. And I started telling my story about how, you know, Rauch began with services in the basement of a church, and this little lady in the back of the room went, this is the basement. This is the church. And it was Advent Christian Church.
Music, Redwood Trail. Produced by Indiana Institute on Disability and Community, Center for Health Equity. Funded in part by the Indiana Governor's Council for People with Disabilities. Copyright 2019, the Trustees of Indiana University.